Hi, everybody. I have a wonderful guest on our show, on my show. Let me start
It's
again.
our show now.
It's our show now. So we have a wonderful guest, and his name is Thor. Thor has this really great channel that has been on typology, but also personality growth stuff as well. Today, he's going to talk to us about this powerful tool for personal growth, which is called spiral dynamics. So, Erik, can you tell us about this tool?
Oh, so spiral dynamics. It's a tool for explaining, human evolution, like how our thoughts and values have changed throughout the years, because we're not really living in the Stone Age anymore. We're living in a very complex world with all this technology, social media systems, and everything. So
Mhm.
we have changed a lot as a result of this, and we've
Right.
learned a lot through collective human experience. So
Yes.
according to spiral dynamics, there are levels of development from stage 1 to 8. You could talk about it.
Yeah. So you're saying because in the course of human evolution, there has been all these changes.
Mhm.
This reflects overall an overall sense of human development at a personal level, right? In terms of self-awareness, self-understanding, collective understanding and awareness. Yeah. So go on.
Yeah, exactly that. Like you can understand spiral dynamics both on a collective and on a personal level. It is generally more effective on a collective level because it
Mm,
can really explain all these movements and conflicts we're seeing on a mass scale. But
yeah.
it can be also really useful to explain your personal growth journey and how you
Mm,
develop throughout the years.
yeah.
Because when you start out as a young person, you can have very strong values and very like a
Mm,
strong core of things that you feel are very important. But over the years, those values become gradually more nuanced and they shift. So
that's true. Yeah, I feel like back when I was a teenager, things could be very black and white in my head, right? But all these nuances get kind of built in over time. And by understanding how humans as a whole have come to a greater understanding and appreciation of these nuances, we could help heal ourselves.
yeah, that's ideal.
Right.
Just learning to recognize also where you are at in life and what your priorities are. Because on each stage of spiral dynamics, you're working on another integral and important part to being. You need to develop and understand all these levels in order to function and to thrive in the world. You
Hmm.
can't skip a level, just jump to the highest one and be like, oh, then I'm great, then I'm good. You have to know and have to work through every single step in the process. Yeah. One example is in the fourth stage, the blue stage. The blue stage is very much associated with order and right and wrong. And we can
Hmm.
be very absolutistic in that stage. But often what I'm finding is this is one of the most difficult levels to go through. It's like one of the most stressful experiences you can go through because that's kind of where you are actually putting yourself as an individual in the world. In the blue stage, you're learning that you can function and that you can survive in the
Hmm.
world on your own without the support of anyone else. And that's an extremely stressful experience, especially for us millennials.
Yes.
And you need that strength and that fullness in yourself and that ability to know that I can do it, I can handle this before you can go to the other stages, because on the other stages, you're going to need that strength that you've developed in that stage.
Interesting. Yeah, it's really great to see uh, truth as a process oriented kind of thing, that there's stages to it, and maybe at some stage of our lives it's important to build independence. Yeah, I remember Carl Jung mentioning about this, that he says beginning half of our lives is important. It's important for us to build ourselves, and if
Yeah.
we kind of jump too quickly into this kind of understanding of that deeper self too quickly, right? We haven't built ourselves yet in the beginning, so we may not be ready for it.
There might not be a lot of the deeper self to encounter yet.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
it's just when it comes to because often if the blue stage is associated with like overcoming challenge, improving your own capabilities, the next stage, the orange stage, that's associated with autonomy, achievement, accomplishment, being able to not just survive in the world, but also to make something of yourself in the world, to get something from the world, to be to thrive in the world. And that sense of accomplishment, that's what you get in that stage, that vulnerability that you need to do in order to go out and do those things and accomplish those things. That's it's only really possible if you mastered yourself and you manage to work on yourself.
Yeah, there's this sense of when first I'm going to build my own independence, and now I'm going to get out in the world and take these risks. And that's a further level of expansion, but it doesn't stop there.
No, you can start taking risks early in life and jump into things, but often if you're rushing it like that, you're going to trip and fall a lot of times. I mean, it's one way of going through your growth journey. I know there are some people that go through their growth journey just jumping from one thing to the other, like super boldly and super courageously. But there's also the other way, which is cautiously, carefully working through every step and taking things patiently and step by step. And both of those approaches work as long as you do them correctly.
Yes, there's more than one path. There's more than one way. What's next? So after this orange phase, what's the next one?
That's the one we're in right now as a society, the green stage. We are today living in a world that wants so badly to be understood. We're so connected to everyone online in the world, and we want everyone to fit in and to like each other and to understand us. But we're struggling. We're really struggling with this. We have all these tribal conflicts because people are not the same, and we're trying to fit in and get everyone to fit in this collective harmony. We have political correctness as a movement, and we have the cancel culture and all those things that are happening in the world. And it's just a sign of those issues that are common in the green stage, because what we're working on now as a society, that's learning how do we connect with each other and how do we handle differences, and how do we collaborate even though we are different.
So there's this phase of striving, like there's a state of survival and building our own independence and striving and taking risk, and we're getting into a place of wanting to realize interdependence but not quite getting there yet. But it's a process. So the whole point of this is to say that this is a process in itself.
It's definitely a process. And I think it's a very important one. Like you have to, I think up till this point of society, we have never really been able to trust one another. I think before we entered into this stage, it was there was no trust in the sense of between people.
Everyone's for themselves.
It was definitely everyone for themselves. Everyone was very focused on their own achievements and their own accomplishments. And that was how we measured each other, is by what we had accomplished. And now we are trying to stretch out the hand to each other and connect. And that's actually the first time in human history where we are actually trying to connect across globes, across nations. You'd think that, okay, every stage will get easier. With every stage, things will be more easy. Oh, why are we having so many conflicts today? That can be that can be hard for people to feel like, why am I still struggling? Why am I still having all these issues, even though we have come so far as a society? But the truth is, with every level of human development, there will be new challenges. We will always have plenty of things to do in the world. There will never be a time where everything is perfect and happy and blissful. Challenge is a part of life. So
and yes, to see it as a part of life is not just like it's just going to be like a perfect utopia. There's actually value in the challenge itself, and that's why when I looked at the model, I saw even after the last stage, it's like a question mark. There's going to be future stages.
Yeah, for sure. There are. It's also important to recognize that don't romanticize the past. Don't go, it was so much easier back in the days, because that's never been true in human society. You can never look back to the medieval era and say, oh, it was so much better then. You can certainly romanticize and find that there were beauty and humanity and wonderful things across human history. But the orange stage was also full of conflict, and war and people trying to assert themselves above each others and people who were failing, struggling to survive and to make it in the world. Like if you look at child mortality, if you look at conflicts in the world, it was certainly a worse time to live in.
Yes, like it's very, very clearly so. And what I like about it is like there's the next stage. I think there's like a teal stage, like an integral stage that says there's no point necessarily in romanticizing the past, but at the same time, it's not worth it to demonize the past either. That there's actually value to every single one of these stages as well. And the integral stage is bringing everything together. So can you tell us more about this? This is kind of like more of a future stage that's coming, but there's some evidence is starting to show right now.
Yeah, so after the green stage, what people hypothesize as coming after that is the yellow stage.
I think I missed one. I skipped one.
yeah, you went to turquoise. That's there's the next one. So that one is even more speculative. Like the higher up you go, the more difficult it really is to understand it and explain it. Right. But what I can say is yellow today, and I look here to people like Jordan Peterson, and I look to thought leaders, and I look to people in the world that kind of serve kind of as light posts, like Elon Musk as well is another example. Just people that know how to harness the power of the community for personal benefit, learning how to be in the community as an individual with your own truth and your own voice and your own power. Because in the green stage, everyone is trying to fit in. Everyone is trying to be liked and get social media likes and fit in. So we hide and cover up ourselves. But some people have found this power already. And that's super impressive to go out and put themselves in a very vulnerable position, even if they might be misunderstood, to go out and speak what they think is their personal truth. And we should remember that's their personal truth. That's their personal message. They're just very good at still being able to connect with the community with those values and with their message.
Yeah, and it is personal, but also at the same time empowering other people too. Because I think with the previous stages is it's your power over other people. Yeah. But we reached this even more powerful stage of we're empowering ourselves and other people, and as a result, collectively like this, we're stronger. And we do better than when we're trying to dominate over others single-handedly.
It's learning to lift people up. Something I see systematically also, for example, with Jordan Peterson, is how he brings in other people constantly on his shows to give them a voice and to push their message. And to there's so many people that have come out of that and from what he has done in order to also find success and power in that. So it's like they create the kind of micro community for themselves and people in their presence. They lift people around them up.
Wonderful. Yeah, I really like the idea. And I think there's something very inspirational about it too, that we can make this change towards community. That everyone is valuable and everyone has their own gifts that they could bring to the table. So we're still in this stage right now where companies could be very much like parasites, but they view that as the truth. That's how I survive, is to be like a parasite. But the problem is that people are seeing through that. They could see through more and more of the tricks right now. And so what appeals more to people now is more genuineness, more of a cause, more of how am I growing through the organizations I'm part of.
Yeah, because you definitely have companies like Amazon, for example, and their main business model that's really just driving down wages so that they can sell things at a cheap price and so that they can become popular with the consumers. But those kind of companies, they often don't bring out any innovation. Same with China. They're constantly finding smarter ways to build things, but they're not coming up with any own technology.
That's true.
And that's still orange to me. That's still when you're like kind of going down to, okay, how can I effectivize, make things more efficient? But I think in the yellow stages, what you get there is true innovation. That's why I put Elon Musk as an example, because that's a person that is able to come up with these crazy, impossible ideas that honestly make people question his sanity, but somehow he's still able to get the community to invest in him and back him. It's like sometimes he will just put a piece of cardboard up and he will paint the electric vehicle on it and people will buy it. And, over time, like that becomes an actual electric vehicle and it becomes something really impressive. And
and eventually, this is hopefully anyway, that this will be the new normal. And that these people won't be perceived as crazy, and it'll be great to live in that kind of world. It feels like there's less stress. There's more sense of purpose behind living too.
I hope so. I think that if green is able to succeed, I think what we will get is a stronger community safety net, because if we know that we have the backing of our friends and family members, then we also know that we can dream more boldly than we've ever had been able to before. And if we know that we have the power of the community backing us, we also know that we can achieve more. So our creativity becomes something a lot more powerful than what it ever was. And probably also something a little bit more dangerous.
Well, so as you said, it's very important for us to go through the green stage and not just completely jump ahead. It's good to have pioneers like Elon Musk, but to build that sense of community first as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people in the yellow stage before. We've had people like Nietzsche as an example. And, then it's just a madman crying into the wilderness. It's the person that has been able to see or get a glimpse of, some true message or some important message. But what he said has been so misunderstood by people. So that people didn't know what to do with them or what to do with his ideas.
When it comes to this model, how do people personally benefit from it?
I think if you study the spiral dynamics, the thing you can personally get from it is, just an understanding of the stage you are at in life. It's also about understanding and accepting where you are at in life and knowing that there are people that are doing crazy things in other parts of the world, but this is where I am at right now, and that's okay. I'm working through these things, and I'm planting my seeds, and I'm throwing things out there. It starts with, for a lot of people, making a radical change in life is going out and making some friends. That's a radical change you can do in life. So just learn to think about, what are my priorities right now? What is it I need to feel happy? Is it that I need to be more successful at work? Is that where I should be putting my time right now? Or is it that I should be building stronger, more authentic connections to people?
So even within myself, I could see there's different parts of myself that need to be at different stages depending on where I am in life, and just being honest with that is very helpful. And it's also getting this model is also very gives me a sense of inner peace too, to know that if we see there's a lot of struggle in the world, to very much validate that it could be tough, but at the same time to know there's a process to this, right? And to have that patience with the process as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also knowing there's been other people that have been through this before, looking to role models. I think having role models, can be extremely powerful, because then if you're ever doubting yourself, you can doubt yourself. That's completely normal. You can at least look to these role models and inspirational figures and say, they were able to do it. So maybe I can too.
Thank you so much. This has been, I just really love talking about this. I really appreciate you coming on the show to talk about it.
I honestly find it's really amazing to talk to you, and I find these are the kind of questions that I want to have. These are the kind of discussions I want to have with people on YouTube. I really feel like we can learn so much more if we explore it more together.